On November 21st, 2024, the first day of Mama 2024 took place at the Dolby Theater in LA. International fans, advocating for OT7, protested Seunghan's removal with banners, protest trucks, and handouts featuring all 7 members. However, event security was instructed to ban items displaying Seunghan's face, the number 7, and even anything that had the color orange, preventing these from being brought inside. The message was clear. Fans are being heard, they're just being ignored. And while that was a blow to protesters, they continued their planned demonstration outside of the building. But nothing was quite as devastating as watching RIIZE themselves do damage control on stage during their acceptance speech. It shouldn't be lost on anybody that the English portion of the speech touched directly onto the biggest issues that international RIIZE are concerned with.
A lot has happened in the 1 year that we've been performing as artists, and even in the last year, since last year's Mamas, I'm sure many of us are aware of what's happened, but we are always grateful for our fans, our RIIZE, as well as I'm really grateful for our members as well, our members' families, and I am grateful for our company as well. There has been, many events, but it's a bit cliche to say this, I know, but all the members and I can do is just promise to our fans that we will always work hard and try our best to show the best versions of ourselves that we can, and that all we can hope for is that our fans will be there to support RIIZE and our future as well. And there is a lot of open communication with us and our company, and it's really supportive, and we also are always grateful for our fans, and we always hope that, our biggest hope is that RIIZE and RIIZE will be there for each other. So just want to say thank you again for this award. We love our fans. Thank you so much.
I think the crowd's reaction to seeing Anton give their company praise should say enough for you. Not to mention some people chanting RIIZE is 7 near the end of the clip. With this terrible attempt to quell international backlash, I think it's clear to see that SM is trying to address Seunghan's removal without actually doing the one thing that would satisfy the majority of fans: bringing him back to the group. When it comes to the protest, it doesn't really surprise me that the event had banned any mention of Seunghan. The theater has every right to detail what they do and don't want inside the venue, and it was made clear through social media that international RIIZE were planning this demonstration almost as soon as it was announced that RIIZE would be attending in LA, so they took precautionary measures. But the extent they went to is unhinged. I mean, the color orange? You mean RIIZE's group color? Really? It seems as though every attempt to unofficially address Seunghan's removal is simply to suppress and placate. The former they achieved through banning any mention of the persistent OT7 issue at Mama, and the latter through the speech. But honestly, whether or not the state of affairs is set in stone is pretty ambiguous. Clearly, the wide coverage of the situation is what spurred SM to take action in the first place. But the closest we got to the company releasing a statement regarding the actions international fans have taken is via Anton during Mama. They didn't even address the OT7 protests that happened in Korea, following the official announcement that Seunghan was to leave the group. But let's not get it twisted. All of this is smoke and mirrors to stop the boycott. That couldn't be more obvious to me when the announcement of Seunghan's solo debut was announced. When I saw the official SM account post that he'd be debuting in the later half of 2025, I became irrationally upset, I will admit. First of all, who announces a debut a year in advance? That was dumb. But also, it's excruciating to watch a company play in your face like that. Imagine ignoring the singular demand of the entire boycott just to wave the metaphorical carrot in our faces, the idea that Seunghan could return as an idol. But only as a soloist. Such a massive fuck you to fans. If anything, it's proof that the boycott should continue, because if SM can be pushed into a solo debut for Seunghan, they can be pushed into letting him back in the group, 100%. But let's continue this train of thought. Let's say Seunghan did debut solo. I don't have very high hopes. In fact, I would go as far as to say I don't think he would be successful as a solo artist. And that is absolutely in no way meant to undermine his abilities whatsoever. Because as much as I want to stand here and say that being a successful idol is dependent on your vocal abilities or your dance abilities, unfortunately that is just not the case. I can only base the future off of what we've seen in the past. So I look back at the pattern, the trend of what happens to ex-members of K-pop groups re-debuting as soloists because of some kind of scandal. None of them really retain the same amount of support that they had originally. And certainly, you could point out some exceptions. I think Wonho from Monsta X is one, but it's a little disingenuous not to comment on the fact that the majority of them kind of fall to the wayside. And certainly, you can sit here and try to psychoanalyze the myriad of reasons of why that is. But I do think that there is a fairly obvious one, and it becomes exponentially more true considering the fact that he will be under SM Entertainment, which is the fact that he will have next to zero promotion for whatever he decides to do under that company. And just because he will debut a year from now, if they're telling the truth, it would be extremely naive for us not to assume that he will receive hate when he finally does. Even if he's not in RIIZE, those... Sorry, I was gonna say something mean. Those people will come back in full strength and hate on him once more. So not only will he not have promotion for his music, he will also be hated on to the fullest extent, all while not being protected whatsoever from SM Entertainment. He hasn't been protected thus far, so there's no reason to assume that he'll be protected then. So he won't have the support of domestic fans, because honestly he hasn't really been an idol for that long. He won't have support from his own company, and whether or not he has support from his most dedicated fans a year from now is really hard to tell. So no, I am not celebrating Seunghan's solo debut. In fact, it's very bittersweet. And I think what this goes to show is that they are completely happy to keep taking international fans' money. They're like, come here, give it to me, please. I gave you Seunghan back as a soloist, right? So you'll give me money again, right? Like, that's all it read to me as. Oh, and by the way, what I just put forward was like best case scenario. Little do you know, they'll just keep him in the basement for how many years? Maybe they'll just continuously delay his debut and be like, oh no, it's coming, it's coming. You know, keep giving us your money though. The last sentiment I really want to end on with this video is just keep boycotting. If you have been boycotting since the beginning, keep doing so. If you were initially boycotting and stopped because you didn't think anything was going to happen, I would urge you to start boycotting again. And if you weren't boycotting at all, then I would encourage you to start now. With that out of the way, that'll be it from me for now. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.